With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. Yo, what's good?
Hey, man, chilling, man. What about yourself, yo?
I am doing splendid.
Splendid. Splendid.
I'm splendid, man.
What's got you feeling splendid? That's a big word. Well, not really, but pretty complex.
Nah, I don't know. I think that the DMX Snoop battle tonight. Baseball starts tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Basketball, they had the preseason games today. Football camp starts next week. What else? We got football, baseball, basketball. Hockey's about to start back up. Man, listen, this is a sports fans. We had our nightmare in March when everything was shut down. March, April, everything got shut down. But now we're about to get the four major sports at one time, all at the same time.
Right.
Which doesn't normally happen, because NBA is usually done by the time NFL is going to start, and it'll start while the NFL season has started. But we're going to get everything all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And then ultimately we're going to get championship games back to back to back to back. So even MLS, I've watched some of those games and they've been pretty all right. I wasn't watching MLS before, not like that. I would watch here and there, but the games have been actually all right.
No, I mean you kind of nailed it. It's gonna pop up with the playoffs.
Yep.
We're gonna go right into basically the NBA playoffs. Which if you really really think about it, when the NBA season left off, that was the part of the season nobody cared about anyway, because everybody was going to be focused on March Madness.
March Madness, yeah.
Yep. So you just hop right into it and you're good.
So, we're gonna do something different today.
Okay.
And we'll see how it catches on. So we're gonna have a back and forth. We'll ask a question and we'll give each other 15 between 15 and 30 seconds. We both kind of tend to get long-winded sometimes. So so we'll go back and forth, quick between 15 and 30 seconds, and then we on to the next one. You want to go first or I'll go first? Let me go first. Who you got, LeBron or Giannis for MVP?
LeBron.
Why?
I think he's going to come back and he's going to be playing like a madman. I think this is his season that the Lakers are going to win the championship.
Okay.
I think that he realizes that his career is coming to an end. I'm not saying that he's going to retire at the end of this year or anything like that, but it's going to be tough after this year for him to keep going back.
Okay.
I think the Laker team is they're prime for success.
We're gonna talk about it. We still got something to talk about.
My bad.
We're about to do the whole show in the first segment. Come on.
Okay, my bad.
It's on you.
All right. Will there be an asterisk on this basketball season? Asterisk if for the champion?
I don't think it should be. I think if you're gonna put an asterisk, it's just to highlight that there was a pandemic and things of that nature. But as far as trying to take away from the championship that these guys win, I don't think that there should be a asterisk because at the end of the day, like you said a couple of minutes ago, they were at the part of the season where nobody cared about anyway. So we knew who we were going to have during that time. So yeah. So I think it's I don't think there's going to be asterisks. All right. Who's your sleeper team for this upcoming MLB season?
Of course, the Nats.
The sleeper, they just won a championship.
Yeah, but they're not favored to win it again. Okay, so if I wasn't being a homer,
clearly,
the Phillies.
The Phillies?
The Phillies are dangerous.
Okay,
really, really, really dangerous.
I think there's going to be a team that no one is expecting, like maybe like a Royals, or I can't even say the Rays because they've been all right the last couple of years. I think it's going to be somebody kind of like, or Pittsburgh. I don't know.
Shout out to Mookie Betts.
Yeah, he got the bag.
He got the bag. It's not official, but he will have the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty soon. All right. So do you think a 60-game season is good for Major League Baseball?
Ooh. So yes and no. I think that for right now it's good because they've lost so much time. But I think that a shorter season is better, but I don't think 60 games is enough. I would like 82 is fine. I think 82 is good for baseball, 82 to 90, and 60 to 65 for the NBA. I think those two would be good. All right. What do you think that the punishment should be for guys that leave the bubble or break the bubble rules?
And I got 15 seconds to answer this.
Up to 30. You got like 30. You know.
Depends on why they leave the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So like Patrick Beverly, he just left the bubble because it's family emergency. So right. I don't think, other than the quarantine stuff, then it shouldn't be a punishment. I think if they want to leave, they should leave. But the NBA should stick to their guidelines with like the testing and how fast you can go back to your team.
Okay. All right. My last question. I think this is a good one. Whose legacy changes the most with the ring? AI, Dame, Melo, or Vince Carter?
Melo. All right, and I'll try to wrap this up in 30 seconds too. But I think AI, no matter what his legacy, I mean, of course, a ring is going to boost any of those guys' legacy. Mm-hmm. But what AI did for basketball, I think it didn't really need a ring, to validate his career. Same with Vince Carter, what he did just in Toronto alone with bringing awareness to basketball and bringing the popularity to the sport and just being the constant role model as far as conducting himself as a professional athlete. He didn't really need a ring. Melo, I think it'll give him a little bit more vindication. I think that right now his peers, maybe not so much Chris Paul, but the Dwayne Wades and the LeBron James, like they've got those rings to validate their career a little bit more. So I think a ring kind of puts him in the conversation, which I always thought Melo should be in the conversation, but I think he just gets disrespected now. He does. He gets Carmelo Anthony gets disrespected for no reason.
Yeah, I agree. All right, last one.
All right, do you think that the NBA should not the NBA, but the NFL should adopt a bubble?
No. I think that I think that it's too much. I think the logistics wouldn't work the way they work with basketball or even soccer. The rosters are too big, and to try, like, you would need multiple bubbles. It wouldn't be you couldn't just do it in Vegas. You couldn't just have it in Orlando or Miami. You couldn't just have it in one spot. So you would have to maybe even have like 4 bubbles because the rosters are so large and things of that nature. Now, I do think that they should take more precautions They have to go to greater lengths of precautions because they're not in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? And one of those things could be like changing the schedule because of travel and things of that nature. So something like that. But to put them in a bubble, I think would be a disaster. I don't think it will work.
It probably wouldn't work, but I think what football is going to have to do is sort of similar to what baseball is doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to have to think outside the box. They're not going to get everything that they want. There's going to be there has to be some sort of adjustment. So, like, one of the things that they came out with this week is they're not going to have any preseason,
right?
Which is huge for football, but there's got to be other adjustments made to make it work. I don't see them being able to make it work with the way that football is played now. They're going to have to give a little bit to get it done.
But I think baseball is gonna play a huge part in what the NFL does moving forward. Because you have they don't have a bubble. Baseball isn't gonna have a bubble. And one of the questions I was gonna ask you, I guess we can stay there in the bubble.
Yeah, I still have one more question too, but go ahead.
Oh, you do? You want to ask?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
All right, we'll come back to this, but who's gonna win tonight, DMX or Snoop?
All right, so because I know you're gonna go with Snoop, I do think DMX is gonna win. And initially, when I heard that the battle was DMX and Snoop, and I said that it wasn't gonna be close. And as the time has gone on since, it's been getting closer and closer. But I'm gonna stay with my pick, and I'm gonna go DMX.
The crazy thing about that is when I heard about the battle, I thought it wasn't going to be close, but I was going in Snoop's favor. I didn't think, I thought it was insulting that they were going to put DMX and Snoop in the same category. But going back and listening to some of his songs, I'm like, he does have some hits, and it's kind of close. I thought the better matchup would be probably like DMX versus like Ludacris, or DMX maybe versus Busta Rhymes or something like that. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they play.
Yeah. And I'm so immediately following off the record, Scott, myself, and some of our other friends, we're actually going to do something that I don't think I've seen online or anybody else do. I don't know about you, Scott, but we're going to actually do live commentary, and we're actually going to judge the battle from our perspective. So we're all there. Everybody that'll be on the call or video, whatever you want to call it. We'll be judging the versus battle. So we'll scroll through and have probably have the songs that were played in each round. We'll also give our commentary on that, and then we'll just, we'll talk about, the songs that they're playing and what it made us feel, how we felt when they played it, and blah blah blah. But I think it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. So back to this, you were talking about the bubble, and we're talking about the NFL.
Right.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Same with college football. I know that it's been some talk about letting the students stay at home and maybe bring back all the student athletes just because of the revenue that they can make with playing the games, which I thought was a pretty good idea. What I found interesting was, we had President Abdul on a couple weeks ago. And one thing as the president that president VSU, he stayed true to the student. If you notice that, he just was like, nah, it's not about student athlete, it's about the student.
Right.
So I'm interested to see what president of which university is going to come out and be like, screw the student. we got to make this money.
Because they are losing a lot of money. I will say that, but again, the students are the ones that's making all the money.
it's just a different landscape because I was thinking about it. It's like, well, if you're a parent, you probably save on room and board.
But not if you're a student athlete, because most of them are on scholarship.
Well, I'm just talking about a student.
Yeah.
In general.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the schools have adjusted, so a lot of them are doing just conference. So I think most of them are at conference only, and some of them. So I'll say this, and this is something that this pandemic and this COVID-19 has done. This is part of the good. It got rid of a lot of the fluff in sports. You know what I'm saying? Like for basketball, those last 20 games, they may have mattered, may not have mattered, but going forward, hey, look, like we said before, start the season Christmas Day, October 13th to December 24th. You don't really need NBA games, right? The NFL, no one cares about the preseason. Now, you can just have longer camps. You can have intra-squad scrimmages and things of that nature. You don't really need the preseason games. Those were for the owners being money hungry. Major League Baseball, again, I know I said 60 games was not enough, but for the time we're in right now, 60 games is enough. But to get those 162 games, go to half that or even 2/3 of that. I'll be okay. You know, yeah. I mean, and that's the main thing. You know, is just hockey. Nobody ever talks about hockey, but it is what it is.
No, I think you bring up a valid point. Is if you go to shorter seasons, they become more competitive.
Yep.
You know, in basketball, yeah, like you said, they might be playing hard in October and November, but they don't really start to turn it on to December and January and right around the All-Star break. And then they kind of figure out who's going to be in it. So if at the All-Star break, you know you're not going to make the playoffs, that's when you start resting players and tanking for draft picks and that sort of thing. You know, in football is the same thing to where, you know, people kind of coast through the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's value in the preseason for your diehard football fans. Not the casual fan that just watches Sunday and just has a team, but
right.
You know, you have a lot of guys that watch the preseason. They want to know who's on the bubble, and you know, they like to see the competitiveness
and for fantasy reasons too.
Right, absolutely. And then baseball, don't even let me get started on that. I mean, 162.
Get started.
I mean, you got to be a hardcore baseball fan to watch all them games. I mean, I know the people are out there. We even joke about it. We play fantasy baseball, and even that season, it get boring.
It's like it's too long. It's like I understand it. And the thing I do like about baseball is that it's all in the same year. You know, you don't have to worry about 2019, 2020 player. You know, it's the 2020 season, the 2021 season, and it is what it is. That makes that simpler. But even with that, you should be able to cut down on some of the games, and you can have the same time period, same time frame. You know, guys that have a little bit more time off, or you could start in May. You know, but go ahead.
Yeah, but they be playing double headers and.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think me and you, we were at a Yankees national game and got rained out, and then like it was like trying to get back up there to watch the rest of the game, and they were going to play it on this. It was like
it was a lot, but I mean, that game at that time meant something because I believe the Nationals ended up winning that game, and it I mean, ultimately it helped them, you know, with getting into the postseason and things of that nature. So that particular game was important, but it was also later on in the season. I want to say that was August, right? That was like in August. So
pretty late in the season.
Yeah, it was the season was almost over. So I mean, look, you take the good with the bad, and right now for sports, we're about to be in especially if these seasons actually kick off. You know, shout out to the NBA. They went a whole week, no positive tests. So everyone that was on the bubble tested negative for COVID, and I think that's amazing. And hopefully the trend continues, and these teams are able to play, and you don't really have to worry about someone testing positive and what if and this and that and the third. So,
but like you said, if you're doing adequate testing and you're doing it right and you're following the process that you laid out, it shouldn't be a problem. It's what scares me is when you don't have a process,
right?
And you think that you're just going to get lucky, and that's not going to be the case. If people are moving around and they're not isolated and they're not quarantined, you're just begging for some sort of disaster. So we have 4 sports, but again, like we don't have a good plan of action in certain sports, and I'm always a little leery of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, man. So I know we just went through our thing, and
I got a question for you. Go back though.
Okay.
So you asked me about a ring. Which player did you have?
Oh, I said who. So I said Melo, but I can see someone saying AI, and the reason why I can see someone saying AI is because, like you said, everyone. I mean, AI is solidified. He is who he is, right? And if you add a ring or two to AI, you start talking about AI in the talks like they talk about Kobe, like they talk about Jordan. I'm not saying that they will say he's better than Jordan, but he would be in the conversation. You hear people say AI is the best little man ever, right? And some people may say that Isaiah Thomas is, right? But I don't think AI. I think if AI has a ring, he's talked about above Isaiah. He's talked about he'll be top 5. Not regionally like he is now, but I think across the board, AI will be considered top 5 with a couple rings. Melo, for all the reasons that you said, and I'll double down on that. It's just everyone for the most part knew that the big 3 was supposed to be LeBron, Wade, and Melo, but he signed the deal the year before, the extension the year before, and he couldn't get out of that deal and whatever. But a lot of history changes if he doesn't sign that deal and he's just a little bit more patient. You know what I'm saying? So
you think? Well, no, that's a dumb question because he would have fit. He would have fit, especially the way that he plays now. He would have had to play power forward.
Yeah, and they probably would have won 3 out of the 4 or 4 out of the 4. If they had Melo. It's just because I do think that at that point they were super. Like that team was hungry, and you would have seen Melo play defense. I think the Melo defense thing came about because he didn't have no help, and he was like, "Why would I exert all my my energy on defense when I got to put up numbers for us to even be competitive?" You know what I'm saying? So I think everything changes if Melo is on that Heat team.
I think when he gets back, he's going to ball out.
I agree.
He's reproportioned some of his weight. He didn't really lose any weight, but he looks like he's in really good shape.
Right.
Yeah.
So. And that's good for Portland. Now, I know I asked you about a sleeper team in baseball, right? And if I had to choose a sleeper team in basketball, Portland is one of them. Portland, man, they can be really scary at the 8 or 7 seed. They can be really scary.
Yeah, I think Portland. I want to keep saying that. I think the Raptors, and they're not really a sleeper team because a team with the 3rd best record in the NBA is not a sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're really they've really got something going there. They said, man, those guys were working out during quarantine together, and they're bonding, and they're going to be a team to look out for. And as quiet as it's kept, a team without Kawhi Leonard, that team is actually in a better position than they were with Kawhi Leonard. Just as far as a winning games standpoint. So those guys, Kyle Lowry, he was playing I guess phenomenal before he went out, and then Siakam. My God, when I watched him, I thought he was going to have problems being the number one option, but he excelled. I mean, he took that number one option and excelled at that role. So
he made the All-Star team, right? He did make the All-Star team, right?
Yeah, he made the All-Star team.
And I still wonder. And I agree. Kyle Lowry has been playing good, but watching the All-Star game, I'm like, it was towards the end. I'm like, yo, why is Kyle Lowry in the game, man? You got other guys that I felt should have been. And yeah, you can say I'm sleeping on them or I'm hating. I don't care, because Kyle Lowry is. I mean, he's not bad, and he's clearly not bad. He's an all-star, but I don't know.
So when I used to play basketball, long time ago, and hopefully it's not too many kids watching. We used to call it sperming on the court. No, that's what we used to call it. We used to call it when you used to nut up in big moments. You used to be like, man, that's over sperma.
Somehow, some way, Scott does it again. Go ahead, man.
No. But anyway, like I said, different time period, different terminology. But anyway, Kyle Lowry was known for that for a while. Just with the whole LeBron thing. When him and DeMar DeRozan were together, they just seemed to not be able to get it done.
Right.
So. With him winning the championship last year, and then this year he just came back, man. He found his first quick step. Right. He's penetrating to the hole. He's making things happen. He's taking.
I'm gonna grow up. Go ahead.
Penetrating to the basket.
No. He's doing what he's doing.
Wise drunk man once told me that nobody would ever have to say pause if people just finish their sentences.
Well, we don't have to. A wise drunk man. Well, no, that defeats the purpose. Because of course, if you finish your sentence, it's gonna make sense. No.
Yeah, so you got to finish your sentence. And that's
that takes the fun out of it.
He said, no, man. He said, if we spoke English the way that we're supposed to and finish our sentences, he said that's what's wrong with society now is nobody can finish sentences. And he was drunk, but then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? You're right. Like if instead of using the phrase "hole," if I would have made some sense and said "basket," which is the basketball hoop. So he penetrated. He's penetrating more to the basketball hoop. Everybody will understand, and they wouldn't have to go to the imagination of what I'm trying to say. So, nah, man.
I got you, man. I got you, man. All right, so I have Portland. You have Toronto. Man, it's gonna be interesting, man. Let's get to the winner of the week.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, man. So my winner of the week this week is Woody Johnson. If you haven't heard, he's the owner of the New York Jets. He's the owner, but his brother is actually running the team while he's the ambassador for the United Kingdom. And while he was out there, he came into an investigation from the State Department because of racist and sexist comments and behavior. One of his notable things that he was saying was that he didn't see the purpose of Black History Month, and that Black fathers tend to struggle because they tend to lead their families. And he was just stepping out of line. And even though it is an investigation, they are saying that at least 4 people have went on the record saying that they've heard these things. So I just think, how dumb can you be? Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see what the NFL is going to do. I'm not going to call for them to take his team, but I don't think anybody at mindset should be running a team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see if his ambassador career is going to end after this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if he transitions back into that ownership role or running the day-to-day operations. But Woody Johnson, man, that's why you are my winner of the week. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man, yeah. When I heard that this morning, all I could say was, wow. I was just like, man. But it goes to something I said a few weeks ago of older people, older white men stuck in their ways, right? And this ain't something that he just thought about like in the last year. He's thought about this, and he's had these thoughts in his head for ages, you know? And I think this day and age, especially with what's going on right now, you can't have that. Now, again, I agree that the NFL should investigate, right? But I don't know if a fine is all. If they take his team, I wouldn't be upset at them taking the team or forcing him to sell, and someone of color or a minority buys the team. Go ahead.
All right. So the only reason I don't think that they should take the team is his brother is in control now. And even though he's the primary owner, his family shouldn't have to they shouldn't have to suffer or be punished for the actions of their brother. Because you can't really control what your brother is saying or doing.
He's in a position of power. It's not like he's a long lost cousin that's not part of the team. He's a U.S. ambassador in the UK or whatever it is. So so put it like this, Scott. Like, let's say you do something at your job and you get fired. You think those people care about your family? They don't care about your family. Even if you say something, I put it like this. You think MTV cared about Nick Cannon's kids when he said and we can talk about that in a second, because he pretty much lost everything with Viacom. He had a over 20 years of a relationship with Viacom, right? And he had this one thing, and they wanted him to apologize, whatever, and they said no, he was fired, right? They just said he was fired. That was it. Now you have guys like whoever, you could go Rush Limbaugh, you could go any of these other guys that tote the line, and they say whatever they want, continuously say racist things, and they may get suspended, they may be put on admin leave, they may be whatever, but they still have their job. A month goes by, they're back on the air and doing everything that they can. Nick Cannon, a black man, right? He said some wrong things, but instead of them using it as a learning experience, they said screw that, and they just fired him. And I thought that was wrong, and they didn't care about his family.
So when I say family, I don't mean in that context. I mean, okay, so if they punish Woody Johnson, okay, punish him, but don't punish everybody else around him. So maybe they say, okay, well, you've got to turn over all your shares, or even like a Eddie DeBarlo thing, to where you can't be involved in the day-to-day operations. The rest of the family's gotta run it. I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? But I'm not fine with everybody pays for the actions of one person. Because even though, yeah, you could speculate like, okay, that's his family. He thinks that way, everybody else thinks that way. That's not fair. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that. I get that.
Like that.
And I understand that. maybe and Chris Johnson probably feels the same way, but he's not dumb enough to say that in the public realm,
Right.
know. And so I get that. But if they force him out, then so be it, man. Because at the end of the day, right now, he is the owner of the Jets. You know what I'm saying? So he may not be operating the handling the day-to-day, but he doesn't have to. He owns the team. So he should be punished. It shouldn't be a slap on the wrist.
Well, it all depends on how the investigation goes. We all been there, just reading the reports and looking at it doesn't look good. I would be surprised if he's able to ride his role or finish his role as the ambassador.
Yeah, I think that's done.
I think that's a done deal, and we'll see if they let him go back to the day-to-day operations. But it's stupid. It was dumb. It's terrible way of thinking, and our society has no place for thinking like that.
So do you? If you're a player, how do you take this? How do you feel? How do you continue?
Well, Adams, I don't know if you saw him tweet. He said that they need changes at the top, and that's what's wrong at the top.
Right.
And if you really look at it, I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about worst franchises, and I threw the Jets in there without even knowing any of this.
Right.
It's a correlation with that. I mean, you look at the Redskins and all the stuff that we're hearing that's coming out of that campaign. We had talked about it last week, and I said, wait till the Washington Post breaks this story. I think it's a correlation between that way of thinking and running an organization.
Yeah.
If you look at even the Clippers, that way of thinking, that it was just a terrible organization, and that stuff does come down from the top.
From the top down. Yep.
Even what was so arrogant about Woody Johnson was they had asked him about it, and it wasn't until today to where he actually denied it. He denied the claims. Up until then, he was just kind of like, hey, we promote a diverse workforce.
And you talking about Woody Johnson, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, he lied.
I don't think he lied. I just think it made him feel more guilt. Like if something was untrue, that'd be the first thing that you would try to set the record straight. You say, you know what, that's not true. There's no proof. I've never said anything like that. You say things like that, but they kind of tap dance around it and say, well, I promote diversity. I do this, and you never address it. You look at, like you said, the players and even all the employees. Like, how do you work for somebody like that? So,
right.
I'm in grants.
So, let's head to the Redskins and everything that they've dealt with this past week. Of course, the name is done. They have to and
calling them the Redskins, and they're not the Redskins,
the Redskins anymore. I just
Washington.
Listen, for whatever whoever's in charge, I beg you, and I'm not even I'm a Cowboys fan. I beg you, please don't go with the name Sentinels, because don't do it. Please don't. Please. That is a terrible name.
It's the team in Washington. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if they, like I told you, man, it wouldn't surprise me if they call themselves the Redskins or something, or they'll try to be the Warriors or something like that.
Yeah. We did. Then we saw their play-by-play guy ended up, retiring. He retired, and after claims of sexual abuse or assault, whatever, harassment, and there was an investigation. Well, I think the investigation is still going on, right? But they did say that Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen wasn't a part of any of those things. But they knew what was going on. You're not gonna tell me, yeah.
Well, some of the report talked about like Bruce Allen. It was one of the young ladies. She spoke up. She said that her desk was right there by Bruce Allen, and she would be at her desk bawling in tears. And he not once asked her what was wrong with her, or anything like that. So he probably didn't know, and maybe he had bigger fish to fry, in his opinion, because he was always kind of on the hot seat. A little bit out there in Washington, but definitely horrible story. It's going to be interesting to see if they are able to do what the Mavericks did. Because, Mark Cuban went through something similar with Mavericks, and they brought in some HR experts, and, they kind of turned everything around and fixed everything.
They got Olivia Pope, man.
Yeah.
but so they've started in the right. They've hired a female play-by-play person, and so I think that's a good move. I think that's a good start. It's a good start, but I think another thing is they brought in a good guy in their head coach help me out here, the head coach.
Rivera.
Ron Rivera. So I think bringing in Ron Rivera, if I'm not mistaken, he has a military background, right?
I don't know much about Riverboat Ron.
I believe
he's a former player.
He played for the Bears.
For the Bears,
he played for the Bears, and so, but they brought somebody in that's well known around the league. He has integrity. He's shown that he's a leader, right? So. That was a good start. He brought in his guys. Now they pretty much had to destroy and rebuild. But I think that guy Ron Rivera is a good start. Now if they can find a way to get Dan Snyder out of the way, and he can still own the team, but if he's out of the way, he's not making any football decisions because he's not a football guy. He's never been a football guy, and bring in the football people to make the football decisions, then I think they'll start being competitive. But it like we said, from the top down, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, they've got a wide variety of problems. One thing that I heard before all this had kind of leaked out was one of their problems is everything is in the same complex. So you've got like a mix of like players, like. Like everybody that does stuff that's not related to football, but behind the scenes stuff, like, the trading, the contracts,
right?
All that stuff is all in the same facility. So it's no clear separation. So a lot of the players had different relationships. That's how RG3 was able to get that relationship with Dan Snyder because they're right there. The other thing the article highlighted is they only had one HR person for over like 200 people.
Yeah.
You're asking for trouble if you don't have the right HR.
Right.
So, but before I get too far, shout out to Mark Cuban. I don't know if you had heard him and the president had kind of went back and forth about the protests, and he corrected the president, and he had got into a back and forth with Ted Cruz, but he stood up for his players and said that he'd be protesting with them, and he corrected them on the Black Lives Matter movement. So shout out to Mark Cuban.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. And with that, we get right into that, like with the protests. We've seen it again. I think the president just tweeted, I think earlier today or yesterday, saying that he's excited for sports to come around, but anyone that kneels during the national anthem and disrespects the flag and the country, he'll stop watching that sport. And I saw a couple of guys was like, it's not disrespecting the flag, and great, don't watch. We don't want you to watch. You know what I'm saying? So it's, for him to be that close-minded, he was against the Redskins. I'm sorry. He was against the team from Washington, getting rid of the name. He's against any of the teams with Native Americans even thinking about changing their names. So I think him being that closed-minded and I don't know if he's trying to do it for his base or if he really feels that way, But with that being said, he's really, as we all know, he's really divisive, and it's just, I don't think it's working anymore. I think the power that he had 2-3 years ago is ultimately gone,
Well, people are starting to see through it.
Right.
People say he says this stuff to get riled up for his base. I
Mhm.
truly believe he believes all that stuff. And that's why he resonates with his base so much, is because they realize that's not lip service. Like, this is his true sentiments. It's
Right.
like his truth. Like, this is how he feels. So I think, like you said, people are finding the courage to stand up to him and
Right.
correct him. And as people see that, then other people are starting to gravitate to the right side of history on this. So it's sad that he does feel that way, but it doesn't surprise me.
Not me neither. So it is what it is.
Never has, yeah.
Now, in continuance with the protest talks, we did see, the NBA, they had like some certain statements you could put on your jersey, and Jimmy Butler wanted to have no name up there, which I thought was a really good idea, and the NBA said no, right? I'll ask you what you think about that and what you would do, and then I'll respond, because I know what I think Jimmy Butler should do. And so with that, what do you think? What do you think about that? And what do you think Jimmy Butler should do? Should he just take it, or?
I would just take it. And the reason is the NBA, they do a lot. They're the most progressive league. You just pick your battles. And that's not a battle that I would be willing to fight. Now, if the NBA wasn't doing anything and you wanted to promote awareness or you wanted to do something, then yeah, go ahead and fight that battle. But just with everything that they're trying to do to support the movement and just be, I guess, open-minded to things, I don't see any value in it.
Okay, so I disagree. And so I was never really comfortable with, I was cool with them saying, if you want to put something on your jersey other than your name, that was cool. But when it got to the point of you only got these 8 statements and that's it, and I kind of felt, and I think that's why LeBron chose not to do any of that stuff and put his name on the back of his jersey. Now, again, at the end of the day, it's still a protest. It's still fighting for awareness and things of that nature, right? I think that was one of the issues a few weeks ago with the whole Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard thing, and everything that was going on. They still aren't comfortable just playing, and people forgetting, like even Breonna Taylor, they haven't arrested those guys. But there's like a comfort thing, right? And it's almost like, yes, the NBA is doing a lot. They may be doing more than a lot of other leagues, and that's greatly appreciated. But to say you can only put Black Lives Matter, this, I don't think that's really fair. I don't think that's really in line with the movement, really. And what ended up getting us to this point was kind of forcing these leagues' hands. You know what I'm saying? You forcing their hands, and now, once you start messing with the bottom line, things start to change and things start to happen. So
let me ask you this, and not to even cut you off, is this kind of in line with what you're saying? Maybe I'm missing the point. What is the point of not putting your name on the back of your jersey?
He's just like anyone else. He feels like I'm just like anyone else that doesn't have the opportunity that I have and things of that nature. So
Okay.
so he decided, and he didn't really. I guess he didn't really rock with the statements that they had presented to players. You know what I'm saying?
So I was a little misinformed. I didn't know that was the reason. I read that he just didn't want to put his name on the back of his jersey.
Oh no. It was because with the people. You know what I'm saying? So and the NBA said no. So and how I looked at it was like, well, the worst that they could do is fine me. And honestly, the NBA will look any of these leagues will look crazy finding someone for standing up for the quote unquote little man. You know what I'm saying? And so my thought was cross your name out with black or get some black tape. And I don't know how you're gonna get it because you're on the bubble. So he's gonna have to find black tape, but he could get someone to bring it to him once they get back, from whatever. But I would do that if I was Jimmy Butler. I mean, I would do that. They're gonna have my name still up there. Is black tape over it.
Right.
So I mean, and I mean, what's the worst that they could do? Fine me? They're not gonna tell Jimmy Butler not to play.
Right.
Yeah, so I just think that yes, the NBA is progressive and I was gonna ask you, but it would have been a stupid question. Who's the best commissioner? I think.
We already know the best commissioner.
Yeah, so I think it's pointless to even ask that question. And they have Black Lives Matter on the court. Baseball's gonna I think they're gonna put Black Lives Matter or something like that on the mound for the Nets Yankees game tomorrow. And I think moving forward for this season. So I mean, hopefully, they change their minds, the league, because there are other players that said they wouldn't mind doing that, and I think it's a good idea. I kind of felt like it was just a little cheesy that they gave you just these 8 little statements and that was it.
I think it's a balance. I think that they wanted to make sure that they kept the sponsorship and they didn't go too far in their minds outside the line. So it's a compromise, and I totally get that. Because the other side of it too is, could you imagine if Jimmy Butler could put what he wanted on his jersey? You know what I mean? What you might see. I get. I guess they got to reel it in some sort of way. But
with that, I mean, you can still have how can I say? You can still have your reel it in or have your limits, but don't just give them 8. Don't just say this is it and that's that. No exceptions, because they went and said you can't have the name of someone that had passed away. And I said, well, wait a minute. I mean, what if somebody wanted to put Trayvon Martin or somebody wanted to put Floyd?
So I think this is where we kind of disagree, and it's fine. I don't mean like disagree like that.
Right.
You're more so like, what? You should have just gave us the freedom. And I'm just like, what? It is what it is. So I think that's where we're kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, because, I mean, you can still regulate it. Now, I'm not saying, for instance, like, like if you go on like Fanatics or whatever, and you want to get a certain jersey, they won't like certain, you can't do certain names, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. And you can regulate it like that. If someone, now they said don't use anyone that's passed away to the hands of the police. And you're saying, okay, what about this? There needs to be regulations, but I don't think you should tell someone what they should put, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying,
I think it's a big leap. I think they went from not being able to put nothing on to where you have these 8 statements. And again, and this is just my feelings on it. that's not really a protest, no matter what you put on there. You know what I mean? I think people are getting a little bit. I don't even want to say bent out of shape, but they're getting too far into like the messaging on the jersey, opposed to what some of these guys are actually doing in their communities and
I agree
doing the help the movement. So I think that's probably why LeBron was just like, man, I'm good. You know, I'm doing all this outside of the bubble. Like I'm cool. Like I'll put my name on there.
And what if these guys wanted to put the name of their charities? You know what I'm saying? That are in, you know, so yeah, I understand. I mean, and I get it. You know, they ultimately say, you know, they'll give you some reach, but you know, they'll reel you in eventually anyway. So
right, and I just have gotten to the mindset that we have to quit waiting on what people are going to give us and do it ourselves.
And just go do it.
It's just a thing to where, oh yeah, we're going to give you 8 statements. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? But you still got to do something, and you
still got to do the work. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. So well, we need to get ready for this battle. I'm excited.
Sure.
You got Snoop. I got DMX. Man, it's gonna be good, man. So yeah. So tune in. If you're on YouTube, we'll be streaming on YouTube as well. We'll stream on my. It's gonna be actually on my Facebook. I'm trying to get Scott because I know Scott and electronics is so I'm gonna try and get him to do a watch party. But Lord have mercy. We'll see what happens. But again, yeah, man, we gotta we all gotta do our part, man. And we just gotta do our part. At the end of the day, we gotta do our part, man. Whatever your part is, just do it.
Absolutely.
So this is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Where Scotty be?
We out of here.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the